Wolfpack, to another electrifying episode of the Wolf Den Podcast. As usual, we'll start off with some shout-outs and some updates, some within the company, and then we'll go into our guests and topics for the day. So the first thing we want to talk about, we're getting close to the year end here. It's about Christmas time. Merry Christmas to everybody, by the way, and everyone's families. But we kind of just wanted to give some fun updates about, it kind of recaps our year and what we've done. So one of those updates is, we're looking at all our jobs, and we have installed over 30,000 solar panels this year, which is truly amazing. I mean, that's a big step. That's
30K,
30K. And, with all the jobs we've done, including commercial jobs, it looks like we've done about 13 megawatts in solar, and that's a new landmark for us as a company. It's just a testimony to all our guys busting ass out there in the field, and we think that stuff's important to share. So those are some major milestones for a company, for everybody, just everything as a whole.
Yeah. Couldn't be done without your team.
No, which is amazing, and that blew me away when I heard that earlier this morning. So I just had to throw that in there. So great work, Wolf River. Continuing to shine as we should. Next up, Morgan Pottetti. He just had a kid a child this week. So congratulations to you and your family.
Congrats, Morgan.
That's awesome news. There seems to be a lot of babies, which is awesome. So Morgan, congrats to you and your family. Another addition there. That's beautiful. We love hearing that. So congratulations. And then lastly, it was our CEO, Vladimir Marchenko's birthday this week. So happy birthday, Vladimir. Vladimir works his ass off day in and day out. Happy birthday, Vlad. You are truly amazing. But now we can jump into our guest for the day, our CPA certified public accountant, John Latcham. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, so started out 12 years in the public accounting industry, doing tax work and financial statement work, working on hundreds of clients a year. I've seen it all. I've seen the worst. I've seen the best. And now I came here.
Wolf River the worst?
Wolf River's not the worst one I've been in, but it was certainly a little bit of work. So so I did that in the military. 10 years going strong now. 4 years left, potentially more. We'll see. Wow, how Papa Tricare wants to treat me afterwards. So stay tuned for updates on that. Other than that, really happy to be at Wolf River. It's been a blast so far since September. Started in September, right after Labor Day, I believe.
Yeah.
Up in the Isani office, and it's been awesome.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what. First and foremost, thank you for your service. It's very seldom we get a chance to have somebody who's active military within our organization, let alone somebody playing such a major role such as yourself. John, everybody always is so curious when I tell them that we have a CPA on staff. They're like, when did we get a CPA? Well, what does he do for us, right? Give us a little bit about your position and what you do here.
Yeah, so my position is kind of the financial officer. Report directly to the CEO and yourself, of course. Financials, accounting, all things accounting. We're getting the books straight. We're getting our accounting methods straight. The company's still pretty new. We've grown a lot in a very short amount of time, so the methods of accounting weren't quite there, but we're getting there. We're like full-fledged, we're a legit company. So it's finally. Hey, we got our first financial statement audit issued today.
Nice.
Right? So that's a huge landmark in kind of the benchmarks of companies as far as they go, because for a company to require financial statement audit, they have some sort of compliance that they need to meet. For us, we're trying to satisfy SunPower's reporting requirements because they're a public company. So we got the financial statement audit done. It's huge benchmark for us. Now we're going to jump right into the 2023 one.
Yeah, right?
It seems like this year's been a year of foundations, just everything, just setting that strong foundation for everything to grow and prosper from it. Like you said, like we've talked about in the past, we've grown so fast and so exponentially. It's been tough to sit there and hone in on these important key details that we need to structuralize and set a good foundation for. And this year, we're coming out strong, with everything that we're doing. We seem to have that good core to it, which is so incredibly important, because now we can fully grow from it from the right spot.
Dude, you make a good point too, right? So what's a Wolf River's thing? Well, we always double, if not triple, right? That's how we say. There's 1 year we didn't double, right? It was believe it or not, it was the year that we transitioned to solar from lighting, right? And so it's like, you know, did we grow this year? Absolutely. We grew in so many ways. We obtained our building finally, right? Not moved into it, but at least we know it's gonna get done, right? I mean, there were so many things that were critical this year, you know, and the books being one of them, right? And so, John, you did an amazing job getting the audit, you know, completed in time before the year and everything else you're doing. And I think that's just a testimony to your background, right? Because you're not just a CPA, you're one that has over a decade of experience in construction. That's pretty significant. I mean, Wolf River has talked to so many different firms and so many different accountants about our books, about how to reconcile revenue properly, about how to go through the different ways and methods of, you know, general accounting principles, right?
Yep.
I mean, tell us a little bit about your background and why it's so important when you're filling the role that you are in a company like Wolf River.
Yeah, so accounting is one of those industries and those professions that you really kind of get what you pay for, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go and hire, you know, your neighbor as a bookkeeper, you're gonna get, your transactions will be in QuickBooks, but what does it mean? You won't have any idea. So with my experience, I can come in and say, all right, hey, we need to talk about jobs in progress. We need to be able to track per project, what is our job costing, which is kind of, we'll get into that, how we're gonna make some changes here coming up this year on how we do job costing. So, yeah, it's like, construction is such a unique accounting field because it has its own methods of accounting. Long-term contracts is a beast of its own. It's got its own section in the IRS code.
Mm-hmm.
Its own section, and it's a long one. So to have somebody that knows how to account for long-term projects, like, appropriately, it's massive when it comes to making management decisions and how we are gonna look at our performance as a company. Because without that information, you're kinda just going by,
Just going.
you're just going, and
Just
you have
going.
no idea what's going on.
And that's like, not just solar companies, so many solar companies that we see, that's just, there's so many construction companies that we see that have cash flow issues, or they have, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I was hoping you could discuss something that's different than books that you also helped with. I know a lot of people are probably wondering, you know, like what's been going on with QuickBooks Time Logging, right? If our timekeeping app is messed up, I mean, like what else is, right? And John was a huge part of coming up with a plan and finding success in that. I know that Jake, Vlad, John, and a few other really important people put a plan together and a solution. I think some of you may have even seen an email about that, but could you guys just talk a little bit about the integration and the plan moving forward, just so that everybody on staff that's watching this kind of has a little bit more insight of what took place and what the solution is?
Absolutely, I can spearhead that one because the job, it kind of ties back into job costing. Previous to now, we had no idea what is our actual payroll costs on a per job basis. We had the hours. In order to figure out per job payroll costs, we would have to go in and look at hours, go look at everybody's pay rates, and then do the math.
Okay, so
All right.
in layman's terms, we don't even know what we make per project.
Right?
We have no
Exactly.
idea.
Exactly. So now, with the changes that's pushing out on Tuesday, right after Christmas, the employees, no one's gonna really know a difference. You're gonna log into a different company in QuickBooks Time. And what is happening there, what's going on behind the scenes, the reason this is happening, is that this new account, LTL LED, is what you'll log into, and that is connected directly to our QuickBooks. So the old system under Wolf River Electric, that company
Yep.
in QuickBooks Time wasn't connected to anything. It was just a timekeeping app where we clocked in, clocked out, and then our payroll manager went in, added up hours, and submitted it to paychecks. So you got everybody paid, which everybody's probably really happy about, right? Because that's what's important to them.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're here, right? To get paid. But now we can take that a step further, and we can look at, all right, this is gonna go right into QuickBooks, our bookkeeping application that we use, and without any issues at all. All the payroll manager has to do is log in and approve time. There's gonna be no more adding of the hours. And then that payroll cost information will go right into QuickBooks on a per job basis, so we know exactly how much labor we spent on each job.
Which is important because data, I mean, that's another thing. We talked about foundations and finding out more information, you know, within the company, how to grow and get better. Data's been a big factor in that. You know,
Yeah, data's huge.
we've been collecting and withholding more data than we ever had in the past. And it's so incredibly important because it opens your mind and your eyes to issues that you didn't even know were there. I mean, jobs can get done, yeah, which is fantastic, but obviously the profit's what's keeping the company going. And
Exactly.
finding out how you're getting larger profits on each individual project, you know, it's just more data to collect, and obviously some of the most important data we can collect. So having that integration of the two systems in the books and getting everything together, which in return will still not affect our guys in the field, and hopefully fix some of those clock-in issues and whatever else QuickBooks is throwing at you, because that's a big deal. You know, we're working day in and day out to get that done, but I think this transfer over to the LTL LED account should hopefully fix all that. Everything's integrated into one, there's no bouncing over side to side. I think it's gonna be a big deal for the guys in the field, you know, for obviously for management to see where these jobs are going, where the money is being gained from, how that money is being gained, and, you know, just the overall data infrastructure is gonna be fantastic and, you know, make astronomical changes.
Hey, and check this out, it doesn't just benefit Wolf River, because it's gonna benefit all of the employees as well.
Right.
Because on their end, I lied, they will see a change, and that changes that you're gonna be able to go into your account, update all your direct deposit information, look at all your documents, pull your W-2s at the end of the year. It's all gonna be right there in the QuickBooks Time app. So it's gonna alleviate a lot of the document issues and access. Access is gonna be so much easier, be done with paychecks,
Yep.
dealing with that hassle.
You know, John, you weren't around when we were like brand new startup, right? Pence was, right? But I'm telling you, so many things from those days, you know, of, you know, being, you know, an authentic startup, right? Out of, you know, a basement. You know, in some ways, we still are like stuck in our basement ways, you know what I mean? And so I'm really happy to hear that, you know, we're able to give not just the customers, but our staff, you know, like appropriate things that you just stated, right? Being able to log into update our account, we're not doing things manually anymore. It's a lot more like automatic, user-friendly type setups. And I think that's like so important because, you know, one thing we mentioned earlier was when construction companies and solar companies don't do things the right way, they have a cash to accrual issue, right? When they make the transition, right? We've seen Empire, right? Huge solar company, national. They were in our state, right? They went out of business because they, you know, had stated from the CEO, Abby, right? She said there was a transition from cash to accrual, right? That, you know, in accounting terms, John can speak to that more, but it's just like a way of recognizing and doing books, I think, right? You know, but
That's right.
the main thing is like, you know, being ahead of the finances, being on top of the books, making sure that all the numbers are looking good and we're forecasting and seeing into the future to make sure that, you know, our foundation is safe, that the company is liquid and we're doing well. So important because especially in solar, companies blow up and then they go crashing down.
Quick.
Yep.
You know, and so I mean, can you just talk a little bit about why you see companies in our situation and companies in the solar in general like go under? Like, what's the main reasons why we are seeing so much of this?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one thing that Wolf River did so much better than most companies that I have ever seen in my 12 years, and that's scale appropriately. You know, we're not just working with the same 4 guys trying to make the revenue we're making now. We scaled. We hired more people. We're bringing in the right amount of help. We're bringing in a CPA. We're bringing in HR people. And that is, it seems so underrated because, okay, now we have a CPA. What does that mean for us? He can do books better. Well, it's not just that, right? I can make recommendations. I can fix the accounting methods.
It's an outside eyes looking at
Outside eyes
something
looking
that we
in,
don't
exactly.
necessarily know that much about. Like you said, you know, sticking in the basement trying to grow. You know, it's professionals like yourself that can come in and notice all these things that, you know, it's just a fresh set of eyes that truly makes such a difference. Sorry to cut you off, but you know, it truly is so important.
Yeah.
You know, especially to have somebody come in, look, and say, well, this is what you're doing wrong, and it would have never been noticed prior. You know what I mean?
Right, yep. And when you're looking at those other companies, what they're not doing, they don't have the CPA on staff. maybe they did hire Aunt Nancy to do the books. All right, well, what we're able to do is I can look and say, okay, we're at a certain amount of revenue now, which means that we have to switch to the accrual method of accounting. What does that mean? That means that we've had all these tax deferrals on the cash basis. That's gonna catch up to us. We need to plan for that. Most companies don't plan for that because they don't understand that. They give their stuff to their CPA at the end of the year to do tax, and the CPA hits them with a massive tax bill that they were not prepared for. You know, most companies are gonna spend all their money. The owners are gonna take it all out. But Wolf River is very good about maintaining liquidity in the accounts. We're focusing on growth, which is so important to keep the money in and focus on that growth. Because I've seen so many owners, made $1 million, taking it out, and guess what? They got a new car, they got a new house, they got all these new things, and then the tax bill comes in. Uncle Sam doesn't wait.
And they never see it coming.
Yeah.
They don't see it coming,
and then they just drive it right into the ground. I mean, that is like standard operating procedure for a ton of solar companies.
Right.
You know.
Longevity is the key, you know.
Well, with solar, it's such a booming industry that the growth is so fast compared to normal. If you started a restaurant, restaurants have been around for hundreds of years. The growth isn't gonna be like we see in the solar field, and that's across the state. We talked about before we got into QuickBooks Time, we were looking at other softwares, right? And we got in touch with basically almost an identical company down in Louisiana, I think. And they saw the same amount of growth that we have seen. Not quite as much, but they have a lot smaller staff, so they haven't quite scaled as well as we have. But they're a SunPower dealer. SunPower dealer. They're on QuickBooks just like we are. They're using Teamworks just like we are. And they haven't grown quite as much, but they've seen the same growth. So it's across the nation. Any solar company that's like us, especially with SunPower behind us as a brand and a product, they're gonna see that growth. And if they don't have the expertise in-house to see those accounting issues coming, they get slammed. And that's what takes them down. So luckily, we can see it coming.
You know what it is too? It's at the earliest, it's like the easiest form of bookkeeping. Like I feel like some of them aren't even doing, right? Because, you know, in solar, right, it's, you know, you have like Dividend, Enfin, other financiers, right, that set up solar loans for people for like 25 years, you know?
Yep.
And the project, it takes some time, right? It takes time. There's typically like 3 milestones. Milestone 1, 2, and 3. As of recent, we've really only been seeing like milestone 1 and 2, you know?
Yep.
And it was like, for a long time, you would constantly hear about companies just making the sales, but not having a strong group on the back end to get these projects complete in a timely manner and to code, right? God forbid it wouldn't be, right? You know, it's like they were surviving off M1 disbursement payments to make the payroll. So they're literally taking money from a project, right? In the bank size, it's going to be used for equipment, right, and other things, and they're using it to make the payroll.
That's right.
And that's the crazy thing about solar, and that's why solar has such a bad rep. Because companies will grow so quickly, go under so quickly, and the result, well, in our area, Minnesota homeowners get screwed.
Right.
You know.
Right. We've helped out with all those customers. I mean, it's happened time and time again, and that's, you know, that's why we're part of such a special place, because we're rising, but you know, we're learning from other companies' mistakes. I mean, these guys see success, and they see success in other companies, and they jump on it. And everybody wants success, right? But I mean, true success comes from doing it the right ways, bringing in the right people, scaling at the right rate, not being greedy, you know. You know, these people get hungry for more and more success, and then they burn and fall quickly.
Even more than that, do you guys, you know Mosaic? Obviously,
Yes.
you do. So Mosaic is a lender, finance lender. They lend money for solar projects for residential homeowners, right? Mosaic reached out to us years ago and said, hey, solar company went under. They left just over 100 Minnesota homeowners, somewhere between start to finish of a solar project, which is the worst place to be, anywhere between those 2 points.
Right.
I'd rather not even have it than be somewhere in the middle, right? We need somebody to come in, analyze, interpret, give us a quote, get it installed. You know, And the Department of Labor Industry was all over it, wondering who this company was, trying to track them down and figure out, and they got them, thank God, right?
Yeah.
But the main thing is that the question was, who's gonna finish these systems? The Minnesota homeowner's not gonna get screwed, right? And so.
And even though they already do get screwed for at least a year, you know, even if we come and help them out, which we do, they still get screwed over for 1 to 2 years of no production, half a system sitting on their roof, you know. So
they're actively screwed.
Right.
They're already screwed.
Right.
Yep.
But then, what I love about our relationship with the lenders is that we're known in the Midwest, at least, as somebody that can get brought in to get these projects from wherever they are across the finish line. PTO, satisfied customer as much as possible, right?
Right.
And that same thing happened with SunPower, right? Because SunPower was part of, you know, I'm not going to say the company's name, but it was a really prominent solar company in Iowa. I'm sure we all can think of who they are, right? But they went under. SunPower, as soon as we became one of their dealers, brought us into Iowa to take care of projects that were, once again, somewhere between start to finish. And unfortunately, these customers were sitting dead, like dead on the water for more than a year.
Yeah, and there was one customer that had all his panels up and nothing underneath. So it's just the panels into the
Like
rail.
just sitting on the fence.
And no, I mean they were on the rail, but there was no microinverter, so there's nothing for it to actually work. You know, they try to, you know, fugazi the customer. It looks beautiful.
Get the pictures quick.
Yeah, exactly. It looked beautiful. There's nothing underneath, not a single wire underneath.
Wow.
And it's just it's sad. It's sad. So it's cool
sad,
to
but
be the ones to be able to help, though.
It's
you know?
crazy because this is the reality, and you know that just goes back to what we were talking about, John. It's like this is why I'm so happy we have somebody of your caliber analyzing the books day in and day out, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Other than that, John, I mean, like, why do you feel like Wolf River is separating ourselves from the startup mentality, finding ourselves in a situation where we aren't, we're being super intentional about our finances and our future and the forecast?
Yeah, so what you were talking about earlier with the M1 payments, that is one of the reasons you see companies go under. They get that down payment and they think the job is mostly done.
Right.
Well, here's the deal. If you spend that down payment, that is technically unearned revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So technically it sits as a liability on the books. It's work you have to perform for money you've already received. We don't treat it that way. We don't treat it like they did at Wolf River. We treat it as unearned revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't earn the revenue. It doesn't hit our income statement until we've gone and done the work and completed the project. And it also, with us, it ties into how much focus we put on our customer satisfaction, right? We're not a company that goes in, does the job, gets out, and then never talks to them again. We go the extra mile to have all the communication. Project managers are on it all the time, talking to the customer, making sure that they know what's going on. Customer knows, okay, they're in the know, So that customer satisfaction, it doesn't only just help that customer, right? They're gonna tell their neighbor, their neighbor's
builds your
neighbor,
reputation.
and they're gonna tell their siblings and their extended family. Christmas is this weekend. They're all gonna be talking about their new solar panels they got this year. Every single one of them, I guarantee you, will tell their extended family that they got a solar system.
Dude, this type of marketing, this type of a customer base, like referrals and good relationships with our customers, that's how we've always built our customer base, like up until solar really kicked off, right? We never paid for leads, like not once. All of our business was from us literally connecting with businesses or referrals.
Right. And referrals are huge. And you're gonna see that most successful companies that are family owned, like us, right? We're small and relative to the world, right? We're not a Walmart. We're not making billions yet. But when you see a company our size, when we focus on the customer and put the customer first, that's a successful company 9 out of 10 times. Sometimes something doesn't happen, guarantee you we'll be on the 9 side. We're not gonna be the 10th that falls out, but you get the construction companies that don't care about the customer. They just are doing the job for the cash and they don't build that relationship. every single time that company goes under.
Right.
Eventually.
And what else is cool, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but I think it's important that people do know that after the job's fully complete, we have our PMs make another call to the customer after everything's done, and we basically just ask for a full interview. How did we do for you? Can you let us know how we can do better? And we keep that data too, and we learn from what customers have to say, and we log it all. But it matters so much to us that we even take that extra step at the tail end of everything, just to get even more information on how we can further do good by our customers, gain a great reputation, and just keep getting better, because you are how your reputation precedes you.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
a lot of people don't understand that, and don't understand how quickly a reputation can be burned too. It's hard to
lost in
build up a
seconds.
great reputation, extremely hard, but it's so easy to lose that great
Very easy
reputation.
to lose their reputation. That's why we also take a look at the irate customers. I mean,
Right.
It happens.
It-
You're gonna have it.
Yeah.
It's
Especially-
construction.
We did 30,000 panels this year. How many customers? Is that 1,100
Yeah.
on average, right? 1,100 customers. If you were to get a 5-star rating out of all 1,100 customers, then you've got like a magic lamp with a genie in it, you know? So, like, you're gonna have customers that are angry about something, and it could be, they left smudges on my windows, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we pay attention to them too. All right, what can we do to make you happy? What is it that happened? Let's remedy this issue. And then sometimes they take that review and they turn it into a 5-star. They say, hey, I had an issue, Wolf River solved it. They came out, we fixed the issue, we're good to go now. They're a company of reputation, so.
Right.
And I feel like that's like the defining factor of like a good company and a mediocre to bad company. Because like everybody's gonna make mistakes. Did you know like 80% of all negative reviews and complaints on the Better Business Bureau are from home service, from any contractor that's doing work in somebody's home? Because the home's a personal place.
Right.
You are literally in these people's sanctuary.
Yeah,
they
it's an
let
extension
you
of themselves,
in.
yeah.
It really is. It's most people, don't have like a crazy savings account. They're investing into the equity within their home. That's their future.
Right.
And we're coming into that.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be drilling into, it's a big deal, right? And what you were saying earlier, I think it is pretty significant. It's like every single customer gets a call, and we say, hey, what was your experience, right? Every single customer. There's not one that doesn't, right? How was it? We ask for a rating 1 out of 10, right? So we can get some actual metrics.
Right.
And then if it's anything but a 10, we need the notes. We want to know why. And every reason of the whys, or what could you have done better, what was horrible, what went well, is recorded on a chart. Me and Pins look at this thing every single day, right? And so we can see exactly what our weaknesses and our strengths are. And I'm telling you, just like Dan Halverson has brought us up to 92% average inspection pass rate on the first inspection, right? We also are seeing customer satisfaction go through the roof. I mean, we are teeter-tottering on 4.9 and 4.8 stars on Google. Unheard of, right? It's really difficult for any company, let alone a solar company, an electrical company, to do that, I mean,
And let alone a contractor that's doing 1,100 jobs a year.
100%.
That is so many customers.
Yeah.
And it's a tough time right now in the economy to get this stuff done. I mean, even to get materials to the door, to get it on the job site on time, to get things smooth. I mean, us as a company, we can do as much as we possibly can, but we also depend on other counterparts to help get this 100% project done, great customer experience. We count on other people as well. And not everybody always comes through. I mean, nobody's perfect, but there's other parts that we, need to help us out. And in the current states of things, especially the last couple of years, it's been hard to make all that mesh together and come together and work. And we've been making it happen. So it's not easy, especially being in the world of construction, especially coming from COVID to the years that we've had. So it's a special thing.
the tariffs on panels coming into
man.
the country. Man, it's been crazy.
It has been.
And that kind of goes into one thing I wanted to ask you about, John. 90% of all of our residential solar sales are financed.
That's right, yeah.
We've seen with the interest rates going up, we've seen an impact, right? on the amount of sales that we're getting, right? And I'm sure everybody in the company has, you know, especially our team members that are in the field. You know, I know when we and you spoke the other day, you mentioned some potentially good news about next year and APRs. Are you able to share with us anything about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as everybody might know, if you own a house, you definitely know. If you try to buy a house, you really, really know. Interest rates. Interest rates are the driver behind the United States economy.
Yep.
For whatever reason, I'm not an economist, I'm a CPA, but the interest rates have been so high this year, and yeah, it's impacted solar because, 90% of our
Everything.
customers are financed.
Yeah.
And those interest rates driven by the Fed impacts the interest rates that they're lending to get solar. So it's gone through the roof in 2023. We're seeing mortgages at 9%, which is, they haven't been 9% since 2000, probably before most of our employees were born, right? 2001, I'm talking. We've enjoyed the last few years, 2%, 3%, 4%. 4% would have been high 3 years ago, right? And now it's at 9, so it's over double, which means that if you were to buy a house, you're gonna pay double, almost double for that house, just in interest, than
Really?
you would have 4 years ago. Now, the good news is, we're looking at it coming down in 2024.
We are.
Yep, we're looking at, the articles I've been reading are talking about interest drops as many as 3 times next year in 2024, probably starting in March. So if we're lucky, we see our first drop in March. How far it's gonna go, no one can really know. Even the best world economist isn't gonna be able to tell you how much it's
Take
gonna drop.
anything.
I mean, we'll take anything, yeah.
We'll
But
take anything.
even if it drops at 1% in 2024, we're gonna see an increase
Right.
in solar.
Right.
So,
And that's
busier.
Right, and that's the cool thing is because solar, the years that you mentioned, right? Man, we had pricing for solar was through the roof. People didn't even realize it because it's always been through the roof,
Right.
but there has been so much of a drop in pricing. Like I'm talking like there's pricing, like you can buy solar panels right now that are cheaper than it would cost that manufacturer to manufacture them.
Right.
Why is that happening? Well, because of the APRs going up, there was a huge slowdown. Nobody anticipated, right? The manufacturers can't stop manufacturing. As soon as they do, they're done, right? They're all their assembly line people, they quit. Can't get it started again without that startup cost. It's like you can't stop, right? It's like a strategic investment that these manufacturers are doing by just burning money and getting rid of product for cheaper than they can even make themselves so that they can be here in 2 years, right? When the interest rates are really strong again, right? And, you know, I'm interested to see when those two, the cost of solar and the APRs going down, are gonna intersect, right?
Yeah, it should make solar a lot more affordable. Not only that, but if you look at even just what we call a cash paying customer, right?
Mhm.
So they're not financed through us. They're gonna be able to take out a home equity line of credit. They've been in their house for 5 years, plan on staying there a little bit longer. They can take out an equity line on their home and pay on that. And that's gonna be a much smaller interest rate than our financers, most likely. But more so, they're using the equity of their home to purchase the solar. Like, too easy, right? Why wouldn't you do that? I would do it, but I'm in a red zone.
Damn red zones.
Damn red zones.
Gotta get that figured out too. That'll.
Yeah, well, I know that there was a $10 million relief from the state of Minnesota for XL red zones. Wondering how much they're going to be able to use $10 million to impact like grid infrastructure.
10 million sounds like a lot of money, but when you're looking at a company like Xcel Energy,
Right.
$10 million drop in a bucket. for those guys.
That was my opinion on the matter. We'll see. It's better than nothing. But don't worry, John. XL's coming soon. They're going to free up your red zone and we'll get you sold.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice that people are noticing these issues as well, you know? Because people want solar. People want it, and people will continue to want it because it makes sense and it's good for people. You know, we just got to get through the APRs, what they are at right now, and some of these red zone issues. But solar is so incredibly new still that problems like these were bound to come up regardless, right? But it's the smart companies, it's the people that hire guys like this guy, you know, that can see through issues, you know, think for the future, think for longevity. How can we combat these issues and still be fruitful and, you know, keep excelling like we have? And I think we're doing things the right way. It's really cool to see.
Right, well, even with interest rates as high as they are, we do still have firepower because of the hosting capacity, right?
Right.
That's a really good reason to get on solar now. Like, get on it before you're paying double for your electric bill in 2 years. We've seen it in other states. It's happened.
Connecticut,
It
yep.
will happen in Minnesota. It will absolutely happen in Minnesota.
We have that 2040 rule. If you kind of want to go into that, you know, that's going to do it for
Yeah,
us.
the 2040 rule, yeah, we'll see if the Congress keeps it 2040. Personally, I think they're gonna extend that, just because I haven't seen the growth from the electric companies that, you know, for them to stay on track for 2040,
Right.
it just seems, 2040 seems like a long ways away, but it's right around the corner. Believe me, 17 years goes a lot faster than you think.
And for those who don't know what we're referencing, in February of this year, Governor Mark Walz put out a bill, right, for Minnesota to be 100% carbon free by the year 2040 and 80% carbon free by 2030. Why is that significant? Well, two reasons. One, if you're thinking about solar, you better get it now, right? Because as soon as, you know, these rates go up, grid capacity, hosting capacity that John was mentioning, it's gonna fill up in your grid. At that point, you're gonna be in a quote unquote red zone. You're not gonna be able to get solar,
Which is
right?
where I'm stuck.
Yeah, right.
As soon as my zone turns green, you know I'll be hitting 30, 40 panels on my garage roof.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and with the 2040, right? I bet they will have to extend it too, because I mean, think about it. Even 2030, 80%.
Yeah.
That's,
All of Minnesota's power.
that's a lot of
80%.
infrastructure to update in 10 years.
It's a big, it's a
7
big,
years,
it's a
sorry.
big
Yeah.
promise. It's a big ask.
Because
And
then
actually-
the other question, who's gonna pay for these upgrades?
Exactly.
You already know who's gonna pay for
It's
the
gonna be the
upgrades.
Xcel Energy customers and the power company customers.
And Excel is they're gonna be forced to do it, you know, because
They
they
have
have
to.
business as well. So like the people that are really gonna feel the brunt of this is the people that everybody needs, you know, energy, you know. So it's just gonna be the people that, you know, face these challenges and these high prices. And the same thing's going on in Connecticut, right? I mean,
Yeah, Connecticut, Hawaii, Massachusetts is a good example. I
Yeah,
always like to compare
Massachusetts.
people too.
yeah.
So Massachusetts it was 2021, right? They put out a 2050 plan.
Yep.
So zero emissions by 2050, right? And they were at 15 cents on average a kilowatt hour, right? 15 cents. I think we're at 15 cents on average in Minnesota
think
right
so
now.
too, yeah.
Yeah. And so within 2 years, right, 2023, they more than doubled at, was it like 32 to 36 cents a kilowatt hour on average in the state, right? Check this out. They have a national grid. What does that mean? That means they choose who they're going to purchase their power from, right? They choose. It's like a cell phone plan. They pick who they're going to get it from. Dude, we don't even have the option.
No, if you're in an
We're
Excel zone,
along
you're
for the
getting
ride,
Excel.
man. You're buckled in for the XL train.
Yep.
And ain't no getting out if you are in a red zone.
Or Minnesota Power, or wherever the heck you are.
Yeah.
Personally in Excel, they've got me locked into a red zone, and yeah, Minnesota's a big state. We have a pretty big population. We have Minneapolis and St. Paul that we have to take care of.
Mhm.
That is so much infrastructure to update.
Right.
And we're seeing Massachusetts double already, and they have a 2050 plan.
That's
We have a
scary part.
2040 plan.
It's like that much more. Minnesota's like the most aggressive, like the 10 states that did like a plan like this. Minnesota's like by far the most aggressive.
Yeah.
That Minnesota's known for that kind of stuff, you know, so they feel forced to be the pioneer on this, you know, extravaganza as well, but it really puts people in a tough position, or could potentially put people in a tough position. I mean, the moral of the story is, you know, these prices through the utilities are gonna skyrocket and go up, and the people are gonna have to pay that unless you get solar, and that kind of locks you in
Right.
where you're paying
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
Which can save you, because, you know, if things are gonna double year by year, your bill's gonna double year by year. There's nothing you can do about it, because you need power, just like everybody else. So people, you know, thinking for the future, I want to lock my price in right here, and then, eventually everybody's going to jump on that train that they can, and that's where the red zones come in, now there's not enough, grid for everybody to do in that zone, so.
Yeah, that's why, even right now, if I was in a green zone, even with the interest rates as high as they are, I'd do it now. Because the interest rate is negligible compared to the increase in energy prices in the coming years.
Right.
And here's the deal, you do a third-party finance with our Dividend or Enfin or whoever they want to do it through Concert, 4 or 5 years down the road, you're gonna have a little bit more equity in your house, take out that home equity loan down the road, and then pay off your dividend loan. So now you're paying off your dividend loan with equity in your home. So there's a lot of ways to go about it. Personally, I'd rather do the home equity line if I can, but if I had the option right now, I'd finance however way possible and get it so I can avoid all those doubles and triple rates. I don't know how much your rates are gonna double. It'll be really interesting to see coming down the road.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see, with the recruiting process that we've implemented, right? I know you guys maybe don't know crazy a lot about it, but we've implemented a process, right? And this is the same type of hiring process, the hiring of salespeople, right? That has taken some solar companies from 1 year doing 90 million to 250 million within a year, right? And we actually brought in Bobby Sylvester, right? Shout out Bobby if you're listening to this, and his wife Macy to spearhead this program, right? Where they are actively running a team of, it's about 15 recruiters on staff. They're staff members at Wolf River, the recruiters are, right? Hiring, interviewing, bringing on the best of the best, right? To go through Bobby's class, which is a week-long crash course, Minnesota, Midwest, solar, understanding, like the differences in equipment and, the laws in Minnesota and other states that we're in. And right now they're graduating. I think this week they graduated 40, last week they graduated like 35, and every single week besides Christmas, we're going to be putting out another new class that's going to get brought into our sales team, right? And I tell you what, the numbers are already starting to skyrocket. I'm really excited about this program, guys. And for everybody at Wolf River, it's like we always talk about, the pickup is right around the corner. We're seeing it. We're seeing it in the numbers. We're seeing it in the data. And I'm telling you, everybody should get ready of this time of a little bit less busy. It's more downtime right now because, man, I'm telling you, the next couple of years, as we try to go public, right, it's going to pick up and it's not going to slow down, right? So this downtime's kind of nice. We can refine some things, but just like that year that we had back in, when we were transitioning to solar, this is a transitional year for us in the terms of how we do sales, how we do recruiting, and how we're going to transition to go public.
Right. And we'll fine tune those things as we go forward, right? So it'll only get better. It'll only get better.
Yeah.
So.
Well, John, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It was that was a lot of great information. Thank you again for coming on, and I hope everybody comes to Knobs and meets this guy. He's truly awesome. Fun guy to be around. Fun accountant, probably the funnest accountant I've met. But thank you for joining us on another episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
All right.